Hello, I'm Dave Koji. Welcome to the Pickleball Lounge, episode 19. The Pickleball Lounge is where I speak to influential members of the pickleball community about their involvement and experience on and off the pickleball court. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Astria Pickleball for sponsoring this episode. Head over to astriapickleball.com for their innovative paddles and gear. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel to be notified of new pickleball interviews. Our special guest today is James Thorpe. James is also an Astria Pickleball sponsored professional player, and he recently just played at the PPA tournament in Seattle. James, great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Pleasure to be here.
Now, in the bio, I thought this was fascinating to me. Before pickleball was pickleball in today's day and age, you grew up with a pickleball court in your backyard. So how did that come about? I mean, was your obviously your parents involved with it?
Yeah, so I grew up in Kent, Washington. Obviously, everyone knows it was invented in Bainbridge Island, so Kent's pretty close to that. My grandparents actually grew up playing pickleball. And then my parents grew up playing pickleball. It's just kind of like is a sport that's been around for a while, and it's very close to the heart of Washington State. So yeah, I grew up with the court in my backyard. We'd have just like parties and gatherings, and we'd all just play pickleball together. I hate saying that because people are like, oh, you grew up with pickleball, you have an advantage over us. But like it was something that we would play from time to time, and it was just like a fun little gathering with the neighborhood, and we'd use it a lot for short court tennis, which is funny. But yeah, it's cool seeing it blow up, being how it was so close to home and my childhood.
Now, were you into the game from an early age, or did you like other sports better?
Yeah, so I have a tennis family, so I have three older
Oh,
brothers, and two of which who played Division I college tennis, and so my mom played college tennis. So I kind of followed in those footsteps.
got you. And obviously at the time, when you were young, you could not have had the foresight to know how popular and how big pickleball would get. At what point did you, and maybe this would happen at early, maybe a few years ago, but at what point did you say, wow, I can be good at this. This is gaining traction, and maybe I can make some money from this too. When did the thought of being a professional kind of cross your mind?
I kind of even like close to just like last year. I mean, just to see it kind of blow up how it has, and like I thought the trajectory is just gonna slow down, but I feel like it's just like constantly ramping up. And I was kind of on and off just because tennis, in that background, I being playing from like age 7 to 20 23, you kind of get burnt out. So it's like I was kind of gauging how involved I wanted to be in another, pro level intense sport. But it's cool because I'm coming at it with a different perspective, which allows me to enjoy the game a lot more than, I enjoyed tennis in the past and made certain mistakes that I won't make now.
Yeah, I would say it's good to have those early mistakes. Maybe you burned yourself out too early. Maybe you took it too seriously, couldn't enjoy the game as much as probably maybe you wanted to. I'm just guessing. I don't know. But do you think that your maturity level in going into pickleball, so you got the experience and maturity, but also the tennis background? I see a lot of tennis players moving from tennis to pickleball. Do you think that's molding you into entering this sport and taking it more seriously, and maybe even taking it, as far as you can go, and maybe going full time, professional one day?
Yeah, I think tennis definitely helped mold me as far as like show me the mistakes that I make, and I think it will definitely help uh kind of give me a better chance and better shot at doing extremely well in this sport. And by no means am I perfect on the court. um I'm still fiery on the court for sure, and but I really enjoy the game a lot more. And I think, yeah, tennis has really helped that and molded me in that way and shown me how to improve in the mental game.
So for those players that are maybe looking to go professional or are younger looking to go professional, what advice would you give them so that they're self-reflective, that they're listening to others, and that they're positioning themselves to be the best player that they can be?
Yeah, so advice I give to younger players is to always keep the perspective that you're playing the sport because you enjoy it, and that's the centerpiece. You want to always keep that the centerpiece, because if you lose that ground, you're not going to be standing on solid ground and you're going to be going all over the place. So always remember that. And I guess from there on, I mean, I guess there's a lot of little things to keep track of, but I guess just little progress, right? Focus on the little steps. It's easy to get lost in like the big goals, but as long as you like jot down, have like a pickleball journal, jot down little things you want to improve on, and that way you always feel like you're constantly making progress, whether it be improving, consistency on your dinks, or say you want to hit more drop shot volleys, or you say you want to hit better third shot drops, and having certain like only make this many mistakes during a game. You can kind of have little battles, little wins that allow you to feel like you're making progress. That way you're not too hard on yourself, you're not too analytical or just too negative, but you see the little wins. So I think to have those little goals is very important for a growing player.
So how important is for players, young players, to um, have a growth mindset and don't take failure as a bad thing, little failures as you, but as good things to learn from and grow from?
It's huge. Yeah, I think way too often we focus on, we're kind of a mistake driven society. We're trained to find mistakes, and it's great to see mistakes, but if that's all we see, we're just gonna like get super down on ourselves, and we're only going to kind of go backwards just because we're all only focusing on the bad. So it's just as good, just as important to focus on all of the positive aspects that we're doing in our game. So it's just having that balance is very important.
So you just played in a PPA event in Seattle. So how often are you playing in these professional PPA tour events? And are you looking to do more in the future?
Yeah. So I was kind of on and off. I would play maybe a tournament, maybe once every 6 months, maybe twice every 6 months, and kind of take a break. Just kind of us testing the waters, just like I mentioned before with the tennis. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. But now I guess yeah, since I've started using Astria, I've kind of wanted to play a little more consistently and get a little more consistent in the pro tour, and I'm gonna be playing at least one tournament a month. And just really, yeah, dive in head first, and hopefully I can, I'm already within like the top 100, I think, and so it's more of, I think, cracking maybe the top 50, and then from there top 25, and then keep going from then on.
So, so you been ramping up your drilling and those sorts of practice time during the week?
Yeah, I've been definitely ramping up a lot of doubles play. Singles, I'm trying to find more and more singles players.
Right.
Obviously more people like to play doubles. It's just the
Yeah.
way it is. But yeah, I've been trying to balance those two, and obviously drilling. Trying to do more drilling as well, trying to find people, say, hey, I'll drill whatever shot you want to drill if you help me drill my shots that I want to drill, and kind of working on those little things that I think are very important when it comes to tournament play.
Are there any players that stand out that you've played against that are just that you've learned from at all, or that you think, wow, I want to emulate these certain tactics or skill set, whatever it might be? Are there any players that kind of stand out to you?
Hmm. Um, Certain players that I've played, yeah, I guess when I played against JW Johnson in singles, I was realizing just kind of the depth that he hits at, and it basically just kind of wards you off from hitting any passing shots or uh being able to hit super aggressive. So I noticed his depth was one thing I noticed right away that was very, very advanced for, obviously his level is already advanced, but also I noticed too that I just need like 10% hitting 10% harder at these players just because
Mm,
they have the reaction time. If you don't hit it
right.
hard enough, um, low enough, they have the skills and the hands to just kind of put anything away. So he was one player that I was definitely impressed with. But
Right.
I'm sure he's had his ups and downs on the singles tour as well. I'm sure with the mental game could be a little more stressful as the singles because you're just yourself out there.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. You don't have someone to kind of be your cheerleader, or right next to you. Um, yeah, as far as the singles play, do you find that to be? You mentioned about not getting partners, but do you find it harder to practice singles because there's not a widespread group of singles players out there at that level, unless you're traveling with the professionals?
Yeah, it is somewhat tough. I was in Los Angeles. So I recently moved to Seattle during the summer. So there was a little bit more players obviously in those bigger areas. So certain areas there's not as many players, so you kind of have to, pick and choose and find people. Sometimes there's people that are really good that they don't play tournaments, and so you can kind of just find them in the parks or whatever. But usually, yeah, for singles it's a little bit tougher. But I mean, I'm sure there's good players everywhere, and I think, iron sharpens iron. So it's like the more you drill singles with someone, the better they're gonna get, the better you're gonna get. So you kind of just got to make do with what you have, and you go from there, and hopefully it pays off in tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're an Astria pickleball sponsor player. Why did you decide to join the Astria family to begin with?
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of a haphazard event that I ran into them. I was using, I think, a different brand before, and it wasn't super sold on that brand, and I kind of wanted to try something new, but I wasn't, exactly sure what I wanted to try. I was doing some part-time coaching at this pickleball club, and she was one of the directors was close with this company, was close with Astria, and she kind of reached out to the owner. The owner reached out to me, and I started trying the paddles just to see if I liked it, and actually loved the paddle. And it had better power and kind of feel than the paddle that I was using before. And I kind of was playing around with the weight, got the weight that I liked, and kind of the rest was history. And I was like, I love this paddle, and they were lucky enough, or I was lucky enough to get a little sponsorship and go from there.
Yeah. For me, when I joined the family, like to your point, you don't know if what you're getting into as far as the paddle. Like, am I gonna love the paddle, right? Or am I gonna like the paddle?
Yeah,
Did I make a mistake?
yeah.
Use my other paddle? But I was so pleasantly surprised and very, very happy. Very happy. It's in that company, the people are, as you know, phenomenal.
Hmm.
Just great, great people, and will take care of you. And you know, and to your point you made earlier, being affiliated with Astria makes you want to play better, wants you to motivate yourself to take yourself to the next level, right? And that's good
Right.
motivation to have. And as you're representing not just yourself, Astria, but all us that are part of that family. So
Right.
which is
Yeah, and to say for myself, I'm the most finicky person in the world when it comes to like rackets or paddles. I remember in tennis, I was always like, my strings don't feel right. So, and even with the paddle, I've always been messing with like, weight. I'm like, oh, is this paddle good for me? But yeah, I really love the paddle, and coming into my own with doubles and singles. it's hard to find a paddle I feel that feels amazing for doubles and singles, but this just has like a solid feel that I'm like I love, and it works well for both. And yeah, the having the support of the Astria team is definitely something that helps a lot, having people in your corner.
Which paddle do you have? So I use the Max, the power paddle. Uh,
Yeah, so I have the Arrow.
oh, use the Arrow.
You
Okay.
see it there? Yeah, the
Yeah.
SS Arrow. Um, I got my purple tape too on the side, you know.
Nice. Good work.
Yeah, gotta keep it matching, you know. But yeah, so the SS Arrow is, because I the Max is a little head heavy,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's the same weight overall, but I already weight mine a lot, so I kind of just
Right.
like it to start out balanced, and then I can kind of mess with the weight how I like from there.
Yeah. So for people watching, Astria has three paddles. It's the Pro, which is the kind of the power paddle, head heavy. There's no, sorry, the Max is the head heavy power
Yeah,
paddle.
yeah,
The Pro is more it's the shortest paddle, shortest handle, it's the widest face. It's more of your control paddle, I would say. And then there's the Arrow, which is the most aerodynamic, and the lightest paddle, has a little bit longer handle for those two-handed backhands, as the Max does as well. I think it's shaped a little bit tiny bit differently on the face as well, but
mhm,
that one a lot of people like because it is the lightest one, and it best reduces injury for tennis elbow as well. And so, but like to your point, you can get the best of both worlds by putting some lead tape on it and getting it to your liking.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I definitely need that a little bit of lead tape to get that extra oomph, you know, especially at the pro level. People are just
Yeah.
smacking
So
it every which way.
piggybacking on that, the pro level, you have the Astria paddle playing in professional PPA tour events. You feel like the performance has been up to par and what you need to be successful at these pro events.
Yeah, the performance has definitely been up to par. I'm kind of, you know, just because I'm getting back into the pro level, I'm learning little things here and there, and kind of like the balance of certain weight too, that helps. Getting tips from some of the pros like Connor, because I grew up playing tennis with Connor Garnett, and so he was
Oh,
telling me
really?
some of, yeah, the how he weights his grip. It kind of like balances overall, but that was very helpful. And just certain strategies for singles too, that like I'm sure some of these guys growing up in pickleball had like a pickleball coach to tell them like all these little things that, you know, are helpful long term, and kind of just figuring it out as I go, which is can be a little more frustrating, but it's good to like, get some tips from some of these guys. And yeah, the paddle has been very helpful as well.
Yeah, I've had Connor. Connor was a guest of the show as well.
Awesome.
One of my first ones actually, and I'm gonna have him on again soon. I mean, his rise has been incredible. Um, but someone definitely to ask questions, and he's a really good person as well.
Great kid.
Um, who knows? He's got his own signature paddle now. Maybe have the James Thorpe Astria signature paddle
Yeah,
coming soon.
that's right. Hey, might be.
Yeah. So, if someone asks you for a paddle recommendation, would you say and would you recommend Astria paddles to them?
Most definitely. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't want to force Astro paddles down people's throats, but I think they're amazing paddles, and I think they speak for themselves. So if you guys, you know, if anyone wants to try an Astro paddle, you should definitely try it out and see what you think. And I think they'll speak for themselves. So I don't even feel like I need to sell them, because they do the job, they get it done, and you'll probably your play will thank you for it. And my aunt, actually, she was like in this big slump recently, and shout out to Gina Myrick. She's been playing hard. She's a good player. I think she's been playing at 4 or 5 level right now. She's going to nationals soon, but she's in a slump, and then she started. I gave her the Max that she started using recently, and she's like, "I'm loving it. I'm totally out of my slump now." And I'm like, all right, that's awesome. I'd love to hear it. Astria paddle solving problems.
That's fantastic, Um, now to wrap up here, and James, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you, but I always like to ask this question for all my guests. So for those new players that have not started playing pickleball yet, but are looking to get into it, what advice would you give those players?
So if you're a new player looking to get into it, I would if there's any like big parks close to you or pickleball facilities close to you, if there are pickleball facilities, I would look to just maybe grab a friend, set up like a semi-private lesson, get kind of the lowdown on how to play. Or if you already have paddles and you just want to hit up a park, there's a lot of rec play happening, and sometimes you'll run into people that are way better than you, and they might be frustrated for a bit. They're like, "Oh, these guys aren't as good," but it's kind of just good to just get out there, uh, talk to people, kind of expose yourself to the game, because at the end of the day, pickleball is all about the community and the people that you meet, right? I have never met any more people than I've met playing pickleball. Tennis is I barely met any people playing tennis. Pickleball is just a different beast. And so uh the when you get out there, pickleball is fun, but it's also like I think 50% of it is the community and like the amount of nice, amazing people that you meet. So yeah, get out there and meet people at the parks. Then you can find your level from there and just enjoy. Yeah, have fun.
Yeah, I agree. I share your sentiment about the community and the support and the friendships you make, and everyone is so great. I mean, if this world were filled with all pickleball players, our world would be a better place. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that right now. But I was playing rec play in an open courts, and my partner and we were on the sidelines waiting, and these two newer players were okay, asked us to play, and my partner was hesitant, and I love playing. I don't care who I play with. And we had to, of course, playing against those type of players, we had to calm our game down a little bit. But he didn't want to really do that. I told him, like, look, we were in those people's positions a couple years ago, right? It's almost like giving back to the game for those people to learn playing against get better players. So for those watching who are advanced players, and you're at a park and people want to play with you and they're beginners, you're not going to be practicing so much, but it's the camaraderie, and it's just being kind with your time to those less skilled players. So I do want to give a public service announcement about that.
No, I 100% agree. Yeah, you're right on the money with that. I mean, it's a community sport, and it's like, yeah, show them the way, show them
Yeah.
what to do, and that's just yeah part of giving back to the sport and giving homage for what pickleball's given you. So yeah, why not pass it down?
Awesome. Well, James, it's been like I said, a pleasure to speak with you. Best of luck. We hope to be seeing you on Championship Sundays and PPA Tour events very soon. And look out for James Thorpe's signature paddle. Hopefully, we'll see that soon as well. James, thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck to you.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Appreciate you having me on.
Take care.